Hey everybody, it is Trags, Mike Petralia back with this week's episode of the JungleRoar podcast. You can catch us anywhere you download your favorite podcasts. That includes Stitcher, Spotify, Google, Apple, wherever. You can also catch us on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to the link. I am pleased to welcome back. It's been too long since I've had this very talented reporter on my show. That would be the one and only Kelsey Conway, covering the Bengals for the Cincinnati Enquirer and Cincinnati.com. Follow her on Twitter at Kelsey L. Conway. How you been, Kelsey?
I'm good.
So,
wishing this weather was different.
So it's turned warm. It turned summer to winter, like overnight, got really cold, but it's going to be fine for Sunday. It's going to be
but my allergies can't handle this. I
So
think it's supposed to be
should've
like sunny and 75 for the game.
You should have seen me about 2 weeks ago. You did see me 2 weeks ago.
77, a high of 77
Yes,
on
it's
Sunday.
going to be great weather on Sunday. I must give you props and thank you for the fair warning you gave me back in, I think, late August, early September about the Superdome. A couple of things. First of all, and I think you know where I'm going with this. You said be sure to bring several jackets, which I did. I layered up. The air conditioning was ridiculous. It was very, very cold. Anybody who's never been in the Superdome for a football game or covered one, it is incredibly cold. And secondly, you said, be prepared. It's going to be really loud. And I'm like, yeah, I've been in loud buildings before. No, I mean, it's going to be really loud. They have a DJ. It's going to be like a rock concert the whole time. And you, Trags, of all people, are going to get annoyed. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I've been in loud buildings before. I've never been annoyed by sound and a live DJ like I was Sunday. And I won't go completely inside baseball on this, but Kelsey helped me get through a very difficult work environment on Sunday and said, I told you to have your AirPods in, and I didn't have them in because I wanted to enjoy them.
But we got to cover a really fun game.
We did, and you're saying a lot by not saying anything there, so I appreciate it. Okay, let's get to the game itself on Sunday. I thought it was a very important game for the Bengals to win because for 3/4 of that game, they were not the better team. They were getting outplayed. They were down 17-7. They were down 23-14. They didn't show a lot of life to me. The ability to stop the Saints. There was just no ability there to stop the jet sweep. And in the fourth quarter, the Saints, they finally found a way to stop the Saints just long enough so Joe Burrow could drive for a field goal and then drive for the go-ahead touchdown. What were your biggest takeaways from the one really good quarter the Bengals played on Sunday, and why do you think that's important?
They need to do that earlier in the game. This whole we can come from behind thing is, and Zach said it, he said it's going to catch up to you. And the Saints weren't playing with their top players. Yeah, they had Alvin Kamara, but they were without their 3 top wide receivers. Like, that was a very average Saints team, and the Bengals barely beat them. And I know when you go on the road, you don't take for granted any win you get in the NFL, but what you saw in the fourth quarter is what you need to see from this offense for a full 4 quarters. Like, they have got to figure out how to start early and get Burrow in that rhythm early where he's getting the ball to T, Tyler, or Jamar, like an even distribution. Pass protection was holding up. And my biggest takeaway is they showed that they can do it, that they can be that offense again, but now they've got to put it together for a full game. And they should go 3-0 in this stretch. They should beat the Falcons. The Falcons' pass defense is one of the worst in the league. So those 3 receivers should go off. They have no pass rush also. Then Cleveland, they'll have Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, but like the Browns defense hasn't played up to what we all thought they were going to be this year. Plus Jacoby Brissett, like, that's a game you need to win. And it'll be hard because it's going to be a live, Monday night in Cleveland, but they need to win that one. And you have no business losing to a team that already fired its head coach with the Panthers. So these are 3 winnable games. And I think it sets you up really well if you go 6-3 at the bye, and then you come out of the bye for kind of like the gauntlet of your schedule. So I think the offense playing that way, I hope it's like a rollover effect for them.
I think there is potential there, and I'll tell you why I think that this team is headed in the right direction. I'm starting to really believe that now they feel confident in what the offensive line can do, especially the interior offensive line. The fact that Burrow feels that he has a firm pocket in front of him, I think they're going to be able to do play action. I think they're going to be able to do RPO. I think they're going to be able to throw the ball downfield. He's going to be able to step up in the pocket like he did on Sunday. One of the best plays, two great plays Burrow made on Sunday. The touchdown run where he slid around up in the pocket late in the first half, and then he kept his eyes downfield. He was able to move around just enough to see downfield, see the sea parted, and run for the touchdown untouched. The second play that everybody remembers is in the second half where he's scrambling for his life. He rolls back to the middle of the field and finds Tyler Boyd. Those two plays to me are indicative of the fact that I think Joe Burrow feels more comfortable in the pocket and can move around. And I'm just curious to get your thoughts on how much more comfortable you think Burrow looks out there on the field.
I thought that was Joe Burrow's best game this season. And for as much as we dogged the offensive line the first couple of weeks, we should give them their props because they've played well these last couple of weeks. Zach said it was La'el Collins' best game. Jonah played through an injury. Kappa's been super solid. It sure sounds like they think Ted Karras is like the biggest pickup they had, not just physically, but mentally. They like,
you know where I fall on that category.
Yeah, I know. Please don't remind us. But I think he feels confident, and him knowing that he can do that. And then Brian Callahan saying that, he thought one of Burrow's best plays of the game was when he just threw the ball out of bounds instead of like forcing it or taking a hit.
Yep.
So I think he's playing. Hopefully he can build off that performance, but I do think there is something to him feeling more trust with his offensive line. And I think he definitely feels that way. I mean, he told us he thinks they're playing as one of the best offensive lines in the NFL the last couple of weeks. That's a pretty big endorsement.
Yeah, it is. And I think the other thing that is encouraging for Bengals fans is that when you see Burrow starting to take the underneath passes and allowing his receivers to make big plays, big plays, they're starting to prove that is the case. And obviously we saw it on the game-winning touchdown on Sunday, but I think he's looking toward Tyler Boyd more. There was a lot made going into the Saints game that they've got to find that he's got to target Tyler Boyd. Boyd was 6 catches on 6 targets for 66 yards on Sunday. The other thing I want to bring up, Kelsey, and there are 2 stats that I think are incredibly important. First of all, third down efficiency, 6 for 10, 60%. Red zone efficiency, they were 3 for 3 inside the 20, scored 3 touchdowns. Brian Callahan told us on Wednesday, you do those 2 things, you're going to win most of the time in the NFL.
Yeah, and they need to against these 2 next opponents because Atlanta's going to try and control the clock. They want to run the ball, and they know that they don't have the same level of talent as the Bengals do. So they're going to try and make sure they keep Joe Burrow and the group on the sideline. So when the Bengals do get their opportunities, especially in the red zone, they have to capitalize. Because if you kick field goals or you're 3 and out and you allow a team that's lesser than you to kind of hang around, they gain more confidence and they think they can actually play with you. Like, it would say a lot to me about this team if they go out on Sunday and it's like 21-7 at halftime. Like, go out and put up touchdowns and play with a lead and dictate on your terms at your home stadium, because we haven't seen that from these Bengals yet. And if you see that from them after the performance, then you'll start to feel like, okay, the Bengals might be hitting their stride.
I agree with that. And I also think that the offensive line is going to have I would think, double teams against Grady Jarrett. He is the one guy on the defensive line you cannot let wreck your game plan, right? I mean, he is the one guy that some guys in that Bengal locker room who have been around long enough to remember compared to Geno Atkins. He can be that kind of stout game wrecker, and in the middle of the line, he can get after the quarterback. He can stop the run. He can do a lot of different things. He is the guy that I think the Bengals have to account for in the middle of that line.
Mm-hmm. I know Grady really well from my time covering the
So,
Falcons.
and go ahead. Yeah. Tell me.
He's a wonderful person, and he's a heck of a football player. And like, he's so underrated because Atlanta's defenses haven't been good, and he doesn't necessarily get like the gaudy sack stats, but you ask any player, and Zach said it yesterday, like when you turn on the Falcons film, he's their best player on defense. I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber defensive lineman. Mm-hmm. And he's not going to be scared of anyone, and he's not going to be scared to, get after. He's more of an interior rusher, so it's going to be on Ted, Kappa, and Wilson to kind of handle Grady. So we'll get a really good look at how good the guards are for this Bengals team.
So when you heard that Logan Wilson went down, and that was on top of Josh Tupou going down on Sunday, it appears that Logan Wilson's injury won't be as serious as first feared, his right shoulder. And they could probably get away with him not playing this weekend. We'll see what happens. He might, heal quickly. He didn't practice on Wednesday. Logan Wilson, Josh Tupou. I think if Logan Wilson is out short term, they'll be fine. Josh Tupou concerns me because I don't know about their quality depth in the middle of the defensive line. That is one area that is Tyler Shelvin really going to step forward and step up and be that other guy next to BJ Hill when they need to stop the run? I mean, what do you think of that?
No. And that's why I asked Brian Callahan what I asked him yesterday. And I said, do you guys as an offensive staff look at, it's not me being nitpicky, like the Bengals defensive line is taking a massive hit with DJ Reader and Josh Tupou not being able to play. And it was the one position going into the season, because remember last year they had BJ, Larry, and DJ, and then you had like the Josh. I knew that they needed one more like quality starter interior line, and they didn't do it. And I think it's coming back to haunt them. And I think next free agency or a draft, you'll see them address that position more. But no, I do not think. I think this is a major problem. And to be honest, I think this game and next week's game is going to be. I think we're going to see the Bengals give up a lot of yards.
So, let me just interject here, Kelsey. I do think Jay Tufele will help them, and he played, I thought, reasonably well. He has played reasonably well in his last two games, the first two games with the Bengals. Made a couple of decent tackles on Sunday against the Saints. They're going to ask more of him too. I mean, it's going to be Tufele, it's going to be obviously BJ Hill, and it's going to be Tyler Shelvin. Then we'll see where they go from there. That's not a lot of depth in the middle of that defensive line, to your point.
No. So I think going back to my point about like the Bengals offense needing to carry this team, the Bengals defense carried them earlier. This is their time now, these next 2 weeks until they can get to the bye. Then you could potentially get DJ back, Logan back healthy for your toughest stretch. So I think this game is on the offense.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're with me on this, but I think they play it cautious as they should with DJ Reader, and he probably doesn't come back until after the bye. You agree with that?
Yeah, the diagnosis was a 6-week diagnosis. So, that puts you right at about 6 weeks. And if you're winning, like if you're able to sustain Cleveland and Atlanta, why are you going to put them out there against Carolina,
Right.
So yeah, I think they should definitely play it. DJ's too important to this defense to make him come back, less than, and that's just not what Zach Taylor does. He'll never put a player out there that's not feeling, 100%.
So what are you working on? Anything we should be on the lookout for on the Inquirer?
No, just my normal daily coverage. Today I'm writing about the Bengals defense against this run heavy Falcons offense. And yeah, my normal three keys, the game, how the Bengals beat the Falcons. So no, just my normal everyday coverage on Cincinnati.com.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for joining me, Kelsey. I also want to thank you for all your advice about visiting venues.
Good thing is you don't have to go back to the Superdome anytime soon, Trags.
No, I don't, and I don't have to listen to a DJ when I'm trying to write. So that's awesome. Awesome news. Well, Kelsey, thanks so much for joining me. You are awesome. We'll see you soon down at Paycor Stadium. She is Kelsey Conway. You can follow her on Twitter at Kelsey L. Conway. And obviously, she does a fabulous job covering the Cincinnati Bengals for the Cincinnati Inquirer and Cincinnati.com. She's Kelsey Conway. I'm Mike Petralia. Thanks for downloading and watching this episode of the JungleRoar podcast.